As far as Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric goes, we all saw the very first game trailer and how about 90% of it is not in the game.
Yeah.
Well,
Mm.
and we saw all the concept art of what could have been
Yeah. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, but didn't happen.
to a point where Izuku couldn't look at the fucking screen.
Mm. Yeah, but while the whole thing was going on with Forces, apparently we got a bit more info about the development of the game back when it was known as Synergy.
Which sounds like a better title to me.
Yeah, well, we'll get into this. So yeah, there was a random YouTuber who actually uploaded a prototype for a VR game as well. Again, that was something that happened.
Yeah, you
Um,
can't do Sonic in VR. You'll get motion sickness.
yeah, I'm gonna say, there's many reasons why you shouldn't do that. But yeah, this person, I've forgotten the username, but we'll probably put it on the screen hopefully, uploaded what looked more like an extended version of the first announcement trailer we got back when Boom was first announced. And essentially, it's more of a pitch video, maybe done internally for Sega, to say this is where we want to go, this is the idea of the world, and these are what the characters are going to be like in the game.
Yeah, I think this probably was the trailer that Zuko couldn't look at because Sonic. I'm looking at a screenshot of Sonic Space, and it does not look right. It looks
Yeah, and
different,
again,
but
it's
it's
actually
like
go back to the again for those who actually saw that original trailer because Sega put it off the channel. You look back, the models of the characters look a little different to what they end up liking in the game. They got a bit more like a again, I think someone said this with Shadow Crystal, like chubby cheeks type feel.
yeah, better chubby cheeks. Sonic's ears look like Sonic's ears and chest, and even the palms of his hand, because he has fingerless gloves.
Yeah, he does in this one. Yeah,
Look like fur texture rather than skin.
yeah, that's actually something else. They've actually put more fur texture on his body than it's just the usual whatever
Yeah.
texture.
Oh, we need to know as well that this was still being developed on PC, so what we see is a quote unquote work in progress. Before
Yeah.
at the end it says, "Oh, only for Wii U."
Yeah, I mean, again, that's the funny thing because they started this originally with the CryEngine, and clearly you can see that they were still using pretty much whatever power that had, and then figure out, okay, how do you shift this into a smaller system? That probably was struggle to get it running.
Hmm. And the end result, we all know.
Yeah, we all know. But it's interesting because the attitude of it, and again, as well as, I actually contacted the guy who uploaded it. And it's interesting because basically he said he just found this lying around Sega pretty much and just uploaded it just for fun. And at first I sort of mistook him for somebody who actually worked in the game. And he was just, nah, I just discovered it. And I generally do mean this when I said to him, you can look at the comments if you want back on that video. But I actually did say to him, it was great to see this because, even though as much as Razalot has gotten such a battering, it is interesting to see the development of where it started off, what the ambition was, and ideally like what the the good upside it was going to be. And like I said, there's a lot of interesting things in that early video that I did feel like, oh, I can see the ambition there, and clearly there's a tech know-how to do it because I think particularly Extra Credit's going to do this, but the animation for Boom, particularly in Razaloric and even the test and final game, cutscene wise, they're very beautiful looking. They've got a nice flow to them, and
especially post patch where the actual lighting engine looks a lot better.
Yeah, exactly. And again, there's actually another video showing off the rig about how the character. Like one of my favorite cutscenes from the game is actually the boss fight with Eggman, where he pulls the mech back up and then he tries to bang the Eggmobile back into place, and he pulls his mustache, and he's just like this fury of rage in him. And you've never really seen that with the other versions of Eggman that we've had so far. And like I said,
not counting 2D animation, because you can
not counting the 2D ones. Again, this is more meant to be the more version you officially see. But again, even then, it's interesting with the whole talk of the redesign, which is still going to be going on, that one thing they have done is to make these characters easier to animate. Because if you look at the design of them just as they are, they're not the easiest things to draw. I think you have to have a really good attention to detail in terms of how the body works. And I think people have pointed out that if you think about how big the heads are and the hands, they're kind of oddly proportioned. So this was an attempt to say, let's make it more easy, make it much more manageable for people to actually pick up and make these characters alive.
So, with the trying to playing the trailer as we speak. So, I'm just kind of hung up on some of the gameplay aspects that they changed. Like, it looked like you could use the ender beams in different ways. There's a few environments that didn't get put in, and the HUD is completely different. Like this could have actually been a co-op adventure rather than just oh hey, one player, 4 characters, which you're going to use 2 at a time in some cases.
Yeah, I was going to say they're definitely showing off that this could have been a cooperative game in the first place, and maybe that was what they started off. Because again, synergy. It's the idea of the game is that you're using the whole pitch of the video is saying you need all of Sonic's pals to get through this adventure.
Yeah, this very well could have been, because I still remember some of the interviews with the writers saying how this was meant to be Sonic's story of how he actually opens up to teamwork rather than working alone.
That is actually in the game. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, what I played of it when I first got the game, it's pretty obvious that he tries to do everything on his own, and his friends are saying, "You need help, mate. You can't take this on your own." And again, it's a nice thing to put in the game as a bit of a nice little narrative streak.
Yeah, but I don't know. This one wasn't really there, so to say.
I mean, it's in moments, I would say, throughout the game, rather than the entirety of it.
Yeah, just like some of the environments I'm looking at right now, it's just they could have been in the game. They really should have. He would have opened it a bit more, especially like certain parts of backtracking. And I just noticed Amy's like redesign. She had twin eyes rather than a joined eye.
Yeah. But again, I think it's interesting as well that the reaction from this is basically just saying, "Oh, this game would have been so much better if it was like this." And I still think I don't think it would have saved it in the end. I think there still would have been some problems with it from just the basis of what the gameplay ended up being. I mean, again, like I said, they still have the thing of they run down the hills and they won't shut the fuck up. So that would have still drove everybody crazy. There's still the attitude, the tone is kind of up and down at times. It's sometimes serious, sometimes it's too goofy. And again, Lyric probably wasn't going to be that interesting of a villain. I mean, it's funny because there's one little image of him during the concept art stuff where you actually see him without his body and he just looks like a pathetic creature.
Usually it's the case with robotic things anyway, especially like inside the comic, the Dracon Empire is just a bunch of fish.
Yeah, just a fish in a head. I mean, again, my first thought was actually it reminded me of like the Gluckins from Oddworld. You know, when you look at them without the suits, these pathetic creatures that have to use their hands to stand up because their legs are so pathetically tiny.
Yeah. There's all the enemy stuff they could have used, which at the end of the day, they only have 2 uses for it, and that's just tethering enemies to throw them off the edge, which is the number one way to get rid of them.
Yeah.
And 2 zip lines. That's about it.
Yeah.
That and the story purposes at the beginning and the end. And that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it does, like I said, the point of Boom, I think, from the beginning was it was an attempt to say, let's do new concepts for Sonic without having to do it in the main series and people ripping their hair out of rage.
Yeah, also there's the Chows in here as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is the thing that surprised me was the Chows, because I know you, Mr. Chow Guy.
Yeah, it was one of my top reasons what Sega fucked up as. And I still remember Iizuka saying that,
would you like one?
Would you like a Chow Garden? Yes. We'll think about it.
Yeah, but it's interesting because in here there's statues. So does it imply that the Chow in this world are mythical creatures as well? Like they were originally around and they got lost in time or something?
Well, to be fair, we actually do eventually have Chow. We have sprites in Boom 2. So that is essentially, those are essentially now the Chows, and they do evolve like the concept art show.
Yeah.
So we kind of did get them in the end, but not in the final product.
Yeah. And like I said, it's funny that we're getting to see this stuff now, because when you think about it, when companies make big projects, and particularly when they fail, I mean, the first reaction people are going to say, what the hell happened? And sometimes we have to wait years later on to find out the whole story. But it's surprising with this. You compare this to Sonic 06, where we still don't know exactly what went wrong, what was the point where they knew this wasn't going to turn out right. And, you know, now they do it as a big joke, obviously. Aaron makes it, you know, haha, let's just make fun of it because that's the way to do it now, just to keep us all going.
Quote unquote, shut the fuck up about 06, so there you go.
Yeah, I mean, he takes it, you know, it's like throwing arrows at yourself, and it's basically say, yeah, take your pick, boys, check the body. That's the attitude he's having with it. But we still don't know exactly from Sonic Team's perspective, or even Sega, what went wrong or the moment it all fell down. With this, it's kind of, we're getting more the idea of what the ambition was, and maybe the point of this was halfway before it all went to hell. And like I said, we haven't seen that in many big projects, because normally we have to wait years later, and it's very quickly we're getting info about this stuff, you know, about 2 or 3 years after the game has come out. Compared
to years ago, where we had to wait a decade for any information that was hopefully archived.
Exactly. I mean, you look at MGS5, I mean, we still don't know what the hell exactly went wrong. The point is, we know the stories, but we don't know yet all the detail about it.
Well, fuck Konami, because Konami is the worst.
Yeah, no, but that's the difference. Again, I'm kind of surprised this is now out and Sega haven't been a bit sort of locked down all info on this. Maybe they just decided it isn't worth keeping.
Well, it's a digital age. It's kind of hard not to lock down any development archives. The only people who can get away with that is probably Nintendo. But usually people just hack the game to find out what the hell was locked away.
Yeah.
That and trailers that were shown about 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the thing. You're always going to compare, like, what we first showed off to what the final product is. And of course, like you said, Boom has been the antithesis of then and now.
There are so looking back, like all the games, like the first ever reveal trailer of Sonic Adventure 2, it was just Sonic, Knuckles, and Eggman.
Yeah.
People complained they couldn't play as Tails, so they introduced Shadow and Nails and Terios as Shadow and Rouge. And brought Tails in as a playable character. So with this new information, I guarantee we'll have more videos like Beta 64 doing the beta videos.
Yeah,
I do a beta video. I'm not too sure, but it was kind of difficult to do the beta of Sonic CD. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
But I look forward to actually seeing like analysis of these trailers.
Exactly. And really, the way I look at this, I mean, on the one hand, yeah, no matter what we say, all this goodwill, it's still a massive mess up. And of course, you still blame Sega for the treatment and all that stuff. But again, what annoys me the most is the individuals who put the effort into this, I feel the most sorry for, because it's like they clearly wanted to do something interesting and good.
It was a very ambitious title. It's like,
yeah,
we want to make our version of a Sonic game because we now have the creative freedom rather than, with the Sega cast or the modern cast.
Exactly. And I think, again, the other mess up was the fact they announced this to be kind of a multiverse world building type deal, like Marvel and DC's trying to do. And the problem is, at the end of the day, it doesn't feel like this is all in the same world. It feels like here's the one brand and here's 3 other versions of it from different medias.
It's like now a classic Sonic is its own thing rather than a previous version.
Yeah, but like I said, with Boom, it's basically you all thought they would interlink with each other, but really, the comics that do their own thing, the games, both the handheld and the main console one were completely different, and the TV show is just, make it a sitcom. That was their attitude.
Well, to me, at the end of the day, it's Rise of Lucas non-canon. Shattered Crystal is the original prequel to the show. A, it has sticks, and B, actually introduces Lyric as a villain and doesn't try and force Eggman in, even though he appears very briefly. And it has an actual use for Shadow, not just he's here, I've got to fight him. Why? Because
here's your obligatory cameo. Now bugger off.
Yeah. And the end of the day, and the dialogue was kind of funny.
Like I said, I don't know if it's as good as...
Which is a much better improvement in that game.
Yeah, I will say that. I'm still not sure they're as funny as the TV show, but like I said, different medias, whatever, in different tones and whatnot. But like I said, it is a surprise to see this stuff and just how far, and really just wanted to see just what exactly was the point of Boom to begin with, and essentially seeing the upside of it first before the downside, because we're pretty much used to that whole shit.
Deadlines and force onto a different console that cannot handle a cry engine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we know that part, and we're kind of at this point, it's like, either we move on from it or at least hear from another person's point of view saying, when did it go wrong and what was at least the good part of working on the damn thing. So, that's the way the world works now.